Hey y'all, it's Charlie Moth. It's Mask Monday again, and I can't wait for this one because we're talking about basically my favorite shit, Universal Monsters. Alright, so as I said, we're talking Universal Monsters today. They're my favorite kind of masks. They're pretty much what got me obsessed with collecting monster masks and just monsters in general. The Universal Monsters just make me who I am. So let's start off talking about the Karloff Mummy. Okay, so this is the Mummy as we typically think of him and see him in posters and merchandise and stuff like that. But really he only appeared for a short amount of time in this design in the movie. The makeup was of course carried out by the great Jack Pierce, who designed and applied the makeups for almost all the Universal monsters. This mask was sculpted by Peter Murphy for Trick or Treat, and he did an amazing job. The paint job looks really good too. It's super simple, very effective. It's pretty much just an old bone white tan kind of color with a brown rub out, but it looks very close to the way he appears in the famous one sheet for the movie, which is right here on the tag. I love this mask, but let's go ahead and take a look at how Boris Karloff portrayed the Mummy for most of the picture. Who the hell says that? I'm gonna pull a little, Okay, so this is the Ardith Bay mummy mask. It was also sculpted by Peter Murphy, who did an amazing job of capturing the likeness of Boris Karloff. You know, granted, this isn't as iconic of a design as the dried up mummy from the first part of the film, but I'm really happy that Trick or Treat Studios decided to put this mask out. I think it's the only time an Ardith Bay mummy mask has been mass produced, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'd love to see any other Ardith Bay mask. Send it to me. Another thing I really love about this mask in particular is it has a sculpted fez hat in it, and some cloth down here as well. It's not too often that you see clothing sculpted into a mask, but it was kind of necessary to recreate this character, and it's something I'd like to see more of in masks. I think it's really effective. I love this mask, but we have another Boris Karloff mask to show you that I'm really excited about, so let's take a look at the monster. All right, here he is, the Boris Karloff Frankenstein mask, sculpted by Justin Mabry. I've been waiting for this mask my entire life, and I couldn't be happier with it. It's absolutely perfect. The original Karloff Frankenstein was, of course, designed by Jack Pierce again. He also applied the makeup. It was like a 4-hour process usually because he didn't use any prosthetics at all. It was a total out-of-the-kit build-up makeup. He used cotton and collodion to basically build up this flat head and everything. It was a pretty grueling, nasty process for Karloff to go through every day, so he would often go home and sleep in a chair sitting up with the makeup on, so he'd only have to go through a few touch-ups the next day instead of the entire process. But all that pain was absolutely worth it because together with Pierce, he created one of the most iconic characters of all time. And also it launched a huge career for him. Karloff's one of my favorite actors ever, and he had a really awesome career built off of the Frankenstein monster. Justin did an awesome job sculpting this mask. It came out perfect. I know that he's a huge fan of the Don Post Studios Frankenstein Karloff mask that was sculpted by Pat Newman. When it comes to the Karloff mask, I think that Justin really made the right decision, taking some liberties and making it a little bit more to the Karloff likeness, but still keeping it a classic mask. But for the next mask, he stayed a lot more true to the way that Pat Newman sculpted the Don Post mask, and I'm really happy about that too because that's my favorite Don Post Universal Monster mask of all time, the Glen Strange monster from House of Frankenstein. So let's look at that one. All right, we have it, the Glen Strange Frankenstein monster mask. This is a dream come true. Hardcore collectors out there will know how cool it is to be able to get a brand new wearable version of this mask, especially at an affordable price. It's just one of those holy grails. It's my favorite Don Post Studios monster mask of all time. It was sculpted, as I said before, by Pat Newman. Justin Mabry stayed very close to her original design. In fact, he even paid her full respect by etching her name above Mabry, so it says Newman and then Mabry on the neck there. That was like my favorite little Easter egg to find when we finally got these in and I could look at it in person. I was so excited to get this mask. We all have always wanted this mask. Like if you're not rich and you don't have one, this is just something that's been unobtainable for so long. So I'm really happy that Justin decided to stay true to the way that Pat Newman sculpted the mask. And again, I mean, Pat Newman was sculpting it from the movie, and it looks very close to how it does in the movie. So just all of that in general just gets wrapped up into why I like this mask so much. I also agree with how Trick or Treat Studios decided to paint it. It was painted a lot of different ways over the years at Don Post Studios, but this is probably the most iconic paint job, and it's mostly due to it being featured on the cover of Monster World magazine for this like special holiday edition, where he's affectionately called the Yule Ghoul. And they put a Santa hat on him, and that's why you'll see a lot of collectors out there throw a Santa hat on this Trick or Treat Studios mask for their collection. It's just one of those iconic images that monster kids saw growing up, and it was one of the best like color pictures of this mask that you could get out there. As far as Glen Strange in general goes, Glen Strange did an awesome job as the monster. I love this design. I mean, you really can't beat the Karloff monster, it's impossible, but Glen Strange is a really close second. House of Frankenstein is one of my favorite movies, and it doesn't get talked about enough. He also portrayed the monster in Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein, which is a lot of fun. And this mask design is really heavily featured in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. It looks almost just like the Don Post mask and subsequently the Trick or Treat Studios mask. Jack Pierce also did the makeup on Glen Strange. In fact, Jack Pierce was the person who kind of found Glen Strange. He was getting makeup done for some action movie, and Jack Pierce saw him and said, hey, you'd be a really good model for a Frankenstein monster, and put him in the chair, and the rest is history. Jack Pierce also did the makeup for the next monster that I'm going to show you, which took a lot more time for the hair, which took a lot more hair work. A lot of hair time, a lot of hair. There was a lot of hair. It's the Wolfman. He's hairy. All right, here's the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman mask. This one was sculpted by Jasper Anderson. The design, again, was Jack Pierce, which this is one of the few makeups that Jack Pierce ever did where he did use prosthetics. In fact, in the movie, you can very clearly see the seam lines of the nose. It's super visible, but it just kind of adds to the charm of the film, in my opinion. Jasper decided not to sculpt the seam lines in. He just went with a good Wolfman mask, and honestly, in my opinion, it's the best mass-produced Wolfman of all time. I really love the Don Post Studios Wolfman B mask, but something about this one is just perfect. The paint jobs on all of these that I've seen came out really good, and the hairline is quite successful too for a mass-produced mask. I kind of like the hair super kind of flat like this. It kind of looks like that Teen Wolf kind of long hair look. But if you want to tease it out and make it look, more screen accurate, you can totally do that, as most people do. If you want to get really crazy, you can superheat a curling iron or just use a soldering iron and go in and singe the hair as Jack Pierce did. Rick Baker recently made a Wolfman mask for himself where he used that method to great effect. He also actually did sculpt in the seam lines for the nose, which I thought was a nice little touch. I understand why Jasper decided not to go with that though for this one. This is a mass-produced mask. People want just a Wolfman mask. Rick Baker was making just one mask for himself. That we'll never be able to get. Jasper was clearly the perfect man for the job for sculpting and designing this mask, and I can't wait to see his Werewolf of London mask that's going to be coming out later this year from Trick or Treat Studios. This mask came out great. Jack Pierce, it's one of my favorite designs from Jack Pierce period, but the next mask that we're going to look at is the only one that we're talking about today that actually wasn't designed by Jack Pierce, and he doesn't have any hair either. All right, the creature from the Black Lagoon. This is a favorite of the monsters for a lot of people. It's such an awesome monster, a really great design. The design was actually created by a woman named Millicent Patrick. She didn't get any credit for like over half a century, and today, most people that are into monsters and stuff are aware of Millicent Patrick, and she's finally getting the credit that she's always deserved. The head was sculpted by Chris Mueller, and the body was primarily created by Jack Kevin. I don't say this in any way to downplay Millicent Patrick's work. She came up with an incredible design, and those sculpts were made directly off of her designs. But again, I just want to give credit where credit's deserved to Chris Mueller and Jack Kevin. As far as this mask is concerned, it was sculpted by Russ Lukic, who was the perfect person to pull it off. He always does really great likenesses for tots. This is one of the first monsters that I've seen from him, and the detail's perfect. It's by far the largest creature from the Black Lagoon mask that I've ever seen, and the paint job is so cool. I just want to talk about that for a second. I never would have thought to paint a creature from the Black Lagoon mask basically gold, but it's a really great idea. And it's a super simple paint job to pull off. They just spray it green, stipple on the gold, do red and blue for the eyes and lips respectively, and it just makes everything pop really, really well. Again, Easy paint job to pull off, but the design of that paint job is truly genius. I can't wait to see the Creature Walks Among Us mask that Tots is going to be putting out later this year, as well as that Werewolf of London mask I talked about earlier. So as soon as we get the rest of the Universal Monster masks that are coming out, we're going to make a part 2 for Universal Monsters, and I'm also hoping to include the Lon Chaney Phantom and the Bela Lugosi Dracula masks. All right, thanks so much for joining me on another Mask Monday. This one's super special to me, being the Universal Monsters. I'm really happy that I got to talk about them. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing about them. Let us know in the comments which of the monsters is your favorite and which Universal Monster you'd like to see turned into a mask that they haven't done yet. Until then, I'll see you next week for another Mask Monday. Visit us at nightmaretoys.com and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.